Hey, what's up guys? This is Corey, and this is going to be my third installment of How to Scream. In this video, we'll be focusing on how to get the high-pitched scream, because I got a comment on my last video saying how they got the low growl, but they wanted more information on how to get the high scream. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that the high scream is the same as the low scream, but it's just moved up in pitch. But I'll show you different techniques and different ways of understanding how to get the high scream. So the first thing I'm going to say is that when you're screaming high, you need to let out a lot of air, a lot. And now this is complete opposite from the low growl, because when you're doing a low growl, you let out a little bit of air, but you do it consistently. I'll show you what that is right now. And notice that when I'm screaming low, my mouth is opened very small, because that is how you control your airflow. If your mouth is open very small, that will let out a minimum amount of air through the opening. Now, it's exact opposite for the high. You want to open your mouth a lot, as big as you can, when you're doing a high scream. That way you can let out all the air that you need to get the high scream. So it's like, just like that, the exact opposite of a low. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is where your tongue is in your mouth. When you're doing a low scream, your tongue is out back towards your throat, because that is, I don't know, that's just what your low scream does with your tongue. Now, when you're screaming high, your tongue is up to the front of your mouth, and it's touching your bottom teeth, like this. I don't know if you can see that. So when you're high screaming, front, low screaming, back. And the high scream comes from a totally different spot in your throat than the low scream does. When you're low screaming, it comes from below the Adam's apple. It comes from right around here where the indent in your throat is. I don't know what it's called, but it's right here, this little indent. I'm sure you can find it on your own. You're not complete idiots, I hope, or else you wouldn't be understanding my videos at all. And the high scream comes from above your Adam's apple, right here. It comes from right about there. And yeah, that is just a little bit of help to get you to know where to scream from. And when you're high screaming, you want to keep your throat down, kind of like this. Or you want to keep it completely straight, because I know for a fact that a lot of people, their throats move up with the pitch. That's not a good thing, because when you're screaming high, you want to keep your vocal cords loose, and by keeping your throat down, that is what you're doing. You want to have them loose so that when you're screaming, your vocal cords have room to smack against each other, instead of when they're up here, they cannot smack against each other because they're so tight that they stay in one spot, and your scream ends up sounding like shit, kind of like that is not a good scream. That's what happens when your throat is high. When your throat is low, your scream sounds more full, like that. It's the complete opposite with the low scream. When you're screaming low, you want to have your throat up a little bit more, so that way your vocal cords are tight, and the low scream just kind of moves right through them without really moving them much. So just alright? And when you're screaming high, it's really not that hard. It's the same thing as a low scream, just with different techniques. If you can get the low scream, and you know how to scream high with the tongue and the different areas in the throat and opening your mouth more, you can get the higher pitched scream. But to get the range, like I said in my last video, all you have to do is keep on moving it up. You just go just like that. That's all you have to do. And when you're screaming high, just open your mouth. Just remember to keep your tongue up front. Remember to keep your throat low. and remember to breathe from here instead of from here. And that's basically it. It's kind of hard to explain, but open your mouth, scream from up here, keep your throat low, and that's basically it. And just don't hurt yourself. But that's really all I can say. I hope that helps a little bit. But I'm going to do my trademark thumbs up and peace. If you have any more questions, I can do my best to answer them in another video or just a comment reply. But for now, I'm out.